Hello, IGN. My name is Jose Otero, and I'm here with Brian Altano.
I feel like dancing right now.
I do too, because the music in this game is so good. But before we tell people what it is, we are talking about 125 Nintendo games. We're assuming or amassing Let's Plays, showing people what makes them so special, because it is Nintendo's 125th anniversary as a company. Granted, that entire time they have not been making games, but their contributions to the game industry are still something that deserves to be chronicled and talked about. A lot of folks know that. So we're playing Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, which is a really special game to me because it is one of the first games that really started to play around with the idea of a personality for these two.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's also super active for the most part as far as RPG standards go. Like right now, you don't see what I'm doing off screen, but each time I was landing on one of those enemies, I'm tapping the A button to get an extra hit on them.
So now this is sort of a system that was originated in Super Mario RPG and then moved on to Paper Mario. And Nintendo sort of toyed with these, kind of traditional RPG models for their Mario and Luigi characters. But each time they've done it, they've sort of made sure that a lot of the platforming and timing elements of Mario games were still intact, which is why you get to see stuff like this. Now, Jose's not just hitting a button, Jose's also timing his attacks, which each one of those Goomba hits. And, the better you do that, the more damage it does and stuff. Yep. So it's cool to see a Mario game with, like, leveling up, and there's just a lot of fanfare that goes on.
His stash is a stat, by the way.
Yeah, I know. His mustache grows.
Yeah, and from a story perspective, the personality stuff is hilarious, because everyone knows who Mario is on the villain side, but no one knows who Luigi is.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you, Mr. Green Stash, or hey, you, Green Dude,
yep.
Get out of the way. No one, this is when the sort of Luigi is the lesser brother feels way more played up than ever.
Yeah, and I really like that because, these characters that have been around for ages, in the beginning they were just sort of neck and neck, always the same guy next to each other, right? Just sort of a palette swap. But over the years, they've been able to inject so much humor and personality into the series just based on games like this where it lets them kind of grow and experiment with the characters a little bit. And Luigi did sort of become this, kind of weak-willed sidekick who was terrified of everything.
Absolutely.
That's when it happened. They moved him into Luigi's mansion. He was just crying the whole time. It's cool to see that stuff. And I think some of it originated with the Super Mario Super Show back in the day.
It's Mario and Mr.
Greeny. Hey.
No, and you're right. It's definitely, and it was more like the Super Mario Brothers Super Show was definitely non-canon to a lot of us. It was just sort of Nintendo probably signed off on a lot of that stuff, but it wasn't like they were translating and making it palatable for the audience here, whereas that's the case with Superstar Saga, where Treehouse, Nintendo's localization team, they really knocked it out of the park and made it sort of something that was fun and different, and something that didn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah, 100%.
Even the tutorials, they're talking to you and teaching you the breakdown of how sort of these games play. Mm-hmm. And you can even skip some of them where they'll be like, hey, you already know this, right? And you're like, yep. And they just go, okay, not a problem. Not the case here.
And these games are really interesting to me because they always played with certain conventions. Mario always hated Bowser, right? And they always fought Bowser. But,
they do fight, yeah.
And they do fight, but they also team up sometimes in some of these games, which is it's pretty cool to see.
Yep.
And I like, in particular, a lot of the sort of sprite work and stuff that goes on in this game.
Oh, yeah, yes, this team, Alpha Dream is the developer. Amazing sprite work. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, for sure. And they have a lot of fun and do a lot of really cool things. Like you saw earlier, there was that sort of big gold invincibility star that kind of fills up the screen and helps transitions and stuff. So
and really great music by Yoko Shimomura, which if you don't know her work, she has done the music on all of the Mario and Luigi RPG games, which again, just to wrap it back to your point, all of it originated from that crossover between Nintendo and Square back during the Super Nintendo for what was it, Super Mario RPG 7-Star Saga?
Yeah, 7 stars.
Like that. Yeah, that game specifically set a lot of this in motion, and then this game sort of ran with a lot of those ideas. And to see even something like that, like dodge and counter, how cool is that? Granted, this is really early in the game, and there are some really cool special moves that eventually Mario and Luigi learn.
Yeah.
As is the case with a lot of RPGs. It's also really fun to point out that both of them have an independent button to jump.
Yeah, I was actually just going to bring that up, which is really interesting, right? And actually, it took me a minute to get used to that B moves Luigi, A moves Mario, and you can sort of like there are some puzzles that get thrown at you that sort of like make you interact with that convention, and it's very fun to me.
Well, they let you choose.
Oh yeah,
who
they
goes
do let you
first,
swap.
and that's something that some of the other RPGs they've kind of toned down a little bit over the years. Even their passport photos are hilarious, by the way, because you actually take them on this boat, and you're going to see them in a second. Let's just save here. At the Koopa Cruise, even little details like this,
His
like
hands
stopping
writing
to
in there.
write it, yeah. This
And
is
he's got the
almost-
glove and everything.
It's almost like that Looney Tunes episode, Duck-a-Muck.
Yeah,
where,
yeah.
like, you know, Bugs is like writing, but you saw the. Let me just go back here. You saw the passport photos, and like you can make one of them look scared, and one of them take. I forgot to hit the button when Luigi was playing, but there's so many little things like that that are just such cool touches and just really smart writing, which ultimately became kind of a staple for Treehouse. Whoa, I don't know what this is. I haven't played this in a while, so. This is where are we going? Oh, well, of course, a weird mishap is going to happen to Luigi.
Yep.
There is one thing to point out though with Luigi in this game, which is they have to hypnotize. So Mario gets really sick. I don't know if you remember this, if you beat this game or not. Mario gets really sick, and they have to hypnotize Luigi to be brave enough to go get the cure. He storms into like whoever's house and gets it. It's great. It's such a cool moment. Slight spoiler, sorry, but this game has been around for a while. And yeah, there's
this is
a lot of cool stuff.
So we're playing this on a Wii U. This is part of the Virtual Console. This originally launched on the Game Boy Advance. So if you have a Wii U and you're so inclined, like definitely check this one out because it's really fun to play through. And I just think it's like a couple of these games have been made, and this is actually one of my favorites.
The Great Cacletta. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, I think so.
Never been good at saying some of these names in these games.
So here we have this sort of, common enemy now, and this has become a staple in the Mario RPG games. Is teaming up with Bowser against something hideous and revolting and horrible, who doesn't really, never really cemented itself into the canon of all the Mario universe. The Great Cacletta doesn't really pop up in a lot of other Mario games.
Oh yeah.
But that's a character that's here now. With its sidekicks and everything.
Oh, the sidekick is great. I think if this isn't Fawful, I know in another one Fawful was also a big deal. I'm trying to remember this character's name, but it's not. Oh man, remember the opening when they steal Princess Peach's voice and they replace it with an explosive vocabulary?
Every time she talks, things blow up.
Blows up. Yeah, so good. It's just really cool, and we've talked about this before, I guess, with Nintendo, but they aren't afraid to take their ideas, their properties, and have fun with them.
Yeah.
And do fun things with them. And I think ultimately, whoa, we're in a boss fight. This may not go well for me, but I'm going to try. It is Fawful. I got that right. All right. Cool. Well, this is probably a good spot to stop. Thank you Whoa.
She's insulting you.
Oh, man.
Pink rat.
Pink rat. For more Nintendo Let's Plays, you know where to keep it, right?
Right here on IGN.
That's right.